Donald Trump's dislike for Justin Trudeau is no secret. From tariffs to public insults, Trump has consistently undermined Trudeau's leadership. But one of his most calculated moves came in the form of secretive meetings held at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. A move that didn't just bypass Trudeau, but actively weakened his credibility in the eyes of Canadians. Today, we uncover how these meetings became a pivotal point in Trump's efforts to influence Canadian politics and reinforce the narrative that Trudeau's days as Prime Minister are numbered. In what many saw as a snub to Canada's Prime Minister, two of Trudeau's top ministers, Dominic LeBlanc and Mélanie Joly, traveled to Mar-a-Lago to discuss crucial issues directly with members of Trump's administration. The topics: border security, the opioid crisis, and the looming threat of a devastating 25% tariff on Canadian goods. But the glaring omission was Trudeau himself. By sidelining the Prime Minister and engaging only with his ministers, Trump sent a clear message. Justin Trudeau is not the leader he recognizes or respects. For many Canadians, this was a humiliating spectacle. It wasn't just about the policies discussed, it was about optics. By meeting Trudeau's ministers without him, Trump amplified doubts about Trudeau's strength as a leader. Why wasn't Trudeau there? Was he not capable of representing his country? These were the questions swirling in the minds of Canadians. The timing couldn't have been worse for Trudeau, whose approval ratings were already declining. The Mar-a-Lago meetings reinforced the growing narrative that Trudeau's leadership is weak and ineffective, a narrative being championed not only by Canadian conservatives, but also by Donald Trump himself. The exclusion of Trudeau gave the impression that Trump was already looking past him, preparing for a post-Trudeau Canada. What made the Mar-a-Lago meetings even more damaging was their scope. The discussions included topics critical to Canada's future: tariffs, border security, and even the potential for a closer economic union between Canada and the U.S. By engaging Trudeau's ministers without his involvement, Trump effectively inserted himself into Canadian governance. This wasn't just diplomacy, it was a deliberate undermining of Trudeau's authority. What Trump did here is unprecedented. He's not just ignoring Trudeau, he's creating the perception that Trudeau is irrelevant to U.S.-Canada relations. For Canadians already disillusioned with Trudeau's Liberal government, the Mar-a-Lago meetings served as confirmation that their Prime Minister was losing control. Critics argued that Trudeau's absence showed a lack of leadership and reinforced fears that he was incapable of standing up to Trump. Trump, of course, seized the opportunity. His administration's meetings with Trudeau's ministers were widely covered by U.S. and Canadian media, fueling speculation about Trudeau's political future. Trump even hinted that Canada's next government might be more aligned with his own vision, further undermining Trudeau's standing. Trump once said, "If Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S., maybe it's time for a change in leadership over there." This wasn't just a diplomatic snub, it was an indirect manipulation of Canada's political landscape. By engaging directly with Trudeau's ministers and sidelining him, Trump contributed to the narrative that Trudeau's government was ineffective and that a change in leadership was inevitable. This wasn't lost on Canadian voters, many of whom were already losing trust in Trudeau's ability to navigate the complexities of U.S.-Canada relations. The timing of these meetings also couldn't be ignored. With the next Canadian federal election looming, Trump's actions seemed calculated to reinforce the narrative that Trudeau's Liberal Party was on the brink of collapse. By treating Trudeau as a lame duck leader, Trump indirectly bolstered the confidence of Trudeau's opponents, particularly the Conservative Party, led by Pierre Poilievre. Trump isn't just dealing with Trudeau, he's laying the groundwork for what comes next. By meeting with Canadian ministers without Trudeau, he's essentially signaling to Canadians that the U.S. is ready to move on. The fallout from these meetings extended far beyond Mar-a-Lago. Conservative political ads and opposition rhetoric frequently referenced Trudeau's absence, framing him as a leader who had lost the respect of Canada's most important ally. For Trudeau, this was a political disaster. While the Mar-a-Lago meetings may have seemed like just another chapter in the Trump-Trudeau feud, their implications were far-reaching. They reinforced the perception of Trudeau as a weak leader, damaged Canadian trust in his government, and signaled to the world and to Canadian voters that Donald Trump had already moved past Trudeau. Trump's tactics at Mar-a-Lago weren't just about bypassing Trudeau. They were about reshaping Canadian politics. By undermining Trudeau's authority and signaling support for his rivals, Trump indirectly influenced Canada's political future. As the next election approaches, the question remains, can Trudeau recover from this, or has Trump already sealed his fate? If you enjoyed this deep dive into political drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights from Polytiks. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Trump's actions were strategic manipulation, or just another example of his unconventional diplomacy? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Polytiks.